Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into something absolutely fascinating that has been on everyone's mind, especially after the brand new Calvin Klein Spring 2026 campaign featuring JUNGKOOK dropped just yesterday on February 24th. The question that keeps coming up is, why does Calvin Klein keep choosing JUNGKOOK campaign after campaign, year after year? This isn't just a simple business relationship, this is a partnership that has now lasted 3 years and shows absolutely no signs of slowing down. In fact, with each new campaign, it becomes more and more clear that Calvin Klein isn't just choosing JUNGKOOK because he's popular. There are specific, strategic, quantifiable reasons why this partnership continues and why Calvin Klein seems absolutely obsessed with keeping JUNGKOOK as their global ambassador. We're going to break down the real reasons backed by data, industry analysis, and concrete evidence about why this partnership is so valuable to Calvin Klein that they keep extending and expanding it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like, drop a comment telling me what you think about the JUNGKOOK Calvin Klein partnership, and let's explore the secret behind why Calvin Klein cannot seem to let go of JUNGKOOK. Alright, so let's start with the most obvious and perhaps most compelling reason why Calvin Klein keeps choosing JUNGKOOK, and that's the absolutely insane return on investment that he delivers for the brand. When we talk about ROI and brand ambassadorship, we're looking at how much value and impact an ambassador generates compared to what the brand is paying them. In JUNGKOOK's case, the numbers are frankly ridiculous in the best possible way. During New York Fashion Week, when JUNGKOOK attended the Calvin Klein Spring-Summer 2026 show back in September 2025, his appearance alone generated $7.44 million in media impact value. Let me repeat that because it's such a staggering number, $7.44 million in media impact value from just attending a fashion show. What makes this even more impressive is that this represented 30% of Calvin Klein's total media impact value for the entire fashion week. Think about that for a moment. One ambassador, one person, generated nearly a third of all the media value that Calvin Klein received during one of the most important fashion events of the year. But it gets even more specific and impressive when you drill down into individual posts and moments. A single Instagram post of JUNGKOOK arriving at the Calvin Klein show generated $825,000 in exposure value. One post. Most brands would be thrilled to get that kind of value from an entire campaign, and JUNGKOOK generated it from one social media post showing him arriving at an event. When the Spring 2026 denim campaign dropped yesterday, within just 15 hours it had accumulated 8.6 million views on Instagram alone. By the 20-hour mark, it had hit 11 million views on Instagram and 5.2 million views on TikTok, and these numbers continue to climb every single hour. This kind of immediate viral success and sustained engagement is exactly what brands dream of when they invest in celebrity ambassadors, and JUNGKOOK delivers it consistently, reliably, campaign after campaign. Now let's talk about what these numbers actually mean for Calvin Klein as a business. When you're paying someone to be your global brand ambassador, you need to justify that expense to shareholders, to corporate leadership, to everyone involved in the business. The media impact value that JUNGKOOK generates almost certainly exceeds what Calvin Klein is paying him, which means that from a pure publicity and awareness standpoint, the partnership is profitable before you even consider the actual sales increases that come from his association with the brand. And make no mistake, there are sales increases. When JUNGKOOK's campaigns drop, Calvin Klein consistently sees spikes in website traffic, increases in online searches for Calvin Klein products, and documented increases in actual sales. The brand has never publicly released exact sales figures tied to JUNGKOOK specifically, but industry analysts and reports have consistently noted the correlation between his campaigns and measurable business results. Beyond just the raw numbers and ROI, there's another crucial reason why Calvin Klein keeps choosing JUNGKOOK, and that's his global reach and the specific demographics he brings to the brand. JUNGKOOK, through his work with BTS and now as a solo artist, has an incredibly engaged fanbase that spans every continent, every age group, and every demographic that matters to a fashion brand trying to maintain relevance and growth. When Calvin Klein partners with JUNGKOOK, they're not just reaching Korean consumers or Asian consumers, though those markets are obviously valuable. They're reaching millions of fans in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, everywhere. This kind of truly global reach is rare and valuable, and it's something that most brand ambassadors simply cannot deliver at the same scale. What's particularly valuable about JUNGKOOK's fanbase from Calvin Klein's perspective is how young and engaged they are. The fashion industry is constantly concerned with attracting younger consumers who will become lifelong customers and who represent the future of the brand. Gen Z and younger millennials, which make up a huge portion of ARMY and Jungkook's individual fanbase, are notoriously difficult for traditional brands to reach through conventional advertising. They're skeptical of obvious marketing, they value authenticity, and they need to genuinely connect with brands and ambassadors before they'll engage. JUNGKOOK provides that authentic connection in a way that feels genuine rather than manufactured, and this translates to actual brand affinity and purchasing behavior from young consumers that Calvin Klein desperately needs to maintain long-term growth. There's also the social media amplification factor that makes JUNGKOOK uniquely valuable as an ambassador. When Calvin Klein releases a campaign with JUNGKOOK, it doesn't just get viewed by the people who see Calvin Klein's official posts. It gets shared, reposted, discussed, memed, and amplified across every social media platform by millions of fans. This organic social media amplification essentially provides free marketing that extends the reach of the campaign far beyond what Calvin Klein's own paid advertising could achieve. On the platform X alone, during major JUNGKOOK Calvin Klein moments, there have been over 1.3 million posts mentioning both JUNGKOOK and Calvin Klein. This level of organic conversation and engagement is incredibly valuable and something that traditional advertising spending simply cannot buy. Every fan who shares a photo, posts about the campaign, or discusses it with their friends is essentially becoming an unpaid brand ambassador for Calvin Klein. The quality and professionalism that JUNGKOOK brings to the partnership is another reason Calvin Klein keeps choosing him. The fashion industry and brand partnerships are full of stories about celebrities who are difficult to work with, who show up late, who don't take direction well, who require excessive accommodations, or who create problems that make partnerships stressful and difficult. By all accounts from people who have worked with JUNGKOOK, he's the opposite of this. He's professional, he's punctual, he's collaborative, he takes direction well, he brings creative ideas to the table, and he genuinely cares about the quality of the final product. For a brand like Calvin Klein that invests significant resources in creating high-quality campaigns, having an ambassador who makes the creative process smooth and collaborative rather than difficult and frustrating is incredibly valuable. This professional reputation is part of why brands want to continue working with him rather than looking for alternatives. There's also a cultural and historical significance to Calvin Klein's choice to continue partnering with JUNGKOOK that shouldn't be overlooked. Calvin Klein as a brand has always positioned itself as forward-thinking, boundary-pushing, and ahead of cultural trends. Their advertising has historically made statements and pushed boundaries in American fashion. By continuing to feature JUNGKOOK so prominently and consistently, Calvin Klein is making a statement about the globalization of fashion and the importance of Asian markets and Asian cultural influence. This isn't just about business metrics, though those matter enormously. It's also about Calvin Klein positioning itself as a brand that recognizes and celebrates global talent and cultural influence rather than being stuck in an American-only or Western-only mindset. This cultural positioning is valuable for the brand's long-term relevance and appeal. The timing and lifecycle of the partnership also plays into why Calvin Klein keeps choosing JUNGKOOK. When they first announced him as a global ambassador in March 2023, it was a calculated risk based on his existing success with BTS and his growing solo profile. But now, 3 years later, the partnership has a track record of success. There's proven data showing that JUNGKOOK campaigns perform well, generate buzz, drive engagement, and deliver business results. From a risk management perspective, continuing a partnership that has proven successful is much safer than ending it and trying to find a new ambassador who might not deliver the same results. There's significant risk in changing course when something is working, and Calvin Klein clearly sees no reason to take that risk when the current partnership continues to deliver exceptional results. There's also the factor of exclusivity and competitive advantage that comes from locking in a long-term partnership with JUNGKOOK. In the fashion and luxury industry, brands are constantly competing for the most valuable and impactful celebrity ambassadors. Other major fashion brands would undoubtedly love to have JUNGKOOK as their ambassador, but by maintaining this strong, ongoing partnership, Calvin Klein prevents competitors from accessing his influence and reach. This exclusivity in the fashion category means that when consumers think of JUNGKOOK and fashion, they think of Calvin Klein, creating a strong mental association that benefits the brand. If Calvin Klein were to let the partnership lapse, a competitor could swoop in, and Calvin Klein would lose not just JUNGKOOK's value but would actually see a competitor gain that value. The versatility that Jungkook brings to Calvin Klein campaigns is another reason they keep choosing him. Over the 3 years of the partnership, we've seen him in denim campaigns, underwear campaigns, seasonal collections, holiday campaigns, and various other creative directions. His ability to embody different aspects of the Calvin Klein aesthetic, from casual and relaxed to sophisticated and edgy, means that the brand can use him across multiple product lines and campaign concepts without the partnership feeling repetitive or stale. This versatility maximizes the value of the ambassadorship because one ambassador can effectively represent multiple parts of the business rather than needing different ambassadors for different product categories. Let's also talk about the authenticity factor that Jungkook brings to Calvin Klein. In an era where consumers are increasingly skeptical of celebrity endorsements that feel purely transactional, Jungkook's relationship with Calvin Klein has developed a sense of authenticity and genuine connection. He's been photographed wearing Calvin Klein pieces even when not actively promoting them. He speaks about the brand in interviews with genuine enthusiasm rather than scripted corporate talking points, and the creative output of their campaigns feels collaborative and authentic rather than forced. This authenticity is valuable because it translates to consumer trust. When fans see Jungkook in Calvin Klein campaigns, they believe that he actually likes the brand and products, which makes them more likely to consider purchasing those products themselves. The strategic timing of campaigns is another factor that shows why Calvin Klein keeps choosing Jungkook. The Spring 2026 campaign that just dropped yesterday comes just a few weeks before BTS's group comeback with the album Ararang scheduled for March 2026. This timing isn't coincidental, it's strategic. Jungkook is going to be in the global spotlight even more than usual during the comeback period, with extensive media coverage, performances, and attention. By having a fresh Calvin Klein campaign out just before the comeback, the brand positions itself to benefit from that increased attention and visibility. This kind of strategic timing and the ability to coordinate campaigns with Jungkook's music career activities demonstrates the value of having an ongoing partnership rather than one-off collaborations. There's also the factor of brand elevation and prestige that Jungkook brings to Calvin Klein. While Calvin Klein is certainly an established and respected brand, having Jungkook as an ambassador, someone who is considered one of the most influential and successful artists of his generation globally, elevates the brand's prestige and cultural cachet. He's not just a celebrity, he's a cultural phenomenon, and that association benefits Calvin Klein's image and positioning in the market. This is particularly valuable in Asian markets where Jungkook's influence is enormous and where luxury and fashion brands are competing intensely for market share. From a pure business strategy perspective, there's also the consideration that changing ambassadors is expensive and risky. When a brand brings on a new ambassador, they need to invest in new photo shoots, new creative concepts, building a relationship with that person's team, negotiating contracts, and essentially starting from zero in terms of building the visual and creative language of the partnership. With Jungkook, Calvin Klein has already made that investment and has developed a proven formula that works. The photographic style of Jungkook Calvin Klein campaigns is established and recognizable, the messaging is clear, the audience knows what to expect, and everything runs smoothly. Starting over with someone new would require significant time and money investment with no guarantee of achieving the same level of success. So guys, why does Calvin Klein keep choosing Jungkook campaign after campaign, year after year? It's because he delivers an absolutely exceptional return on investment with $7.44 million in media impact value during Fashion Week, representing 30% of the brand's total impact, because individual posts generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in exposure value, because campaigns immediately go viral with 11 million views in 20 hours, because he provides truly global reach across all demographics and geographic markets, because he brings the crucial young consumer demographic that fashion brands desperately need, because he creates massive organic social media amplification that extends campaign reach exponentially, because he's professional and excellent to work with, making the creative process smooth, because the partnership makes a cultural statement about global fashion and Asian influence, because there's a proven track record of success that reduces risk, because continuing the partnership prevents competitors from accessing his value, because he's versatile across multiple product lines and campaign concepts, because he brings authenticity that builds consumer trust, because campaign timing can be strategically coordinated with his music career for maximum impact, because he elevates brand prestige and cultural cachet, and because changing would be expensive and risky with no guarantee of matching current success. When you add all of these factors together, the question isn't really why does Calvin Klein keep choosing JUNGKOOK, it's why would they ever consider letting him go? This partnership is delivering exceptional value on every metric that matters for a fashion brand, and the Spring 2026 campaign that just dropped yesterday is simply the latest proof of why Calvin Klein is absolutely obsessed with keeping JUNGKOOK as their global ambassador. What do you think? Does this partnership make business sense? Do you think it will continue even longer? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if this video helped you understand the strategic reasons behind this hugely successful partnership, please give it a huge thumbs up, share it with everyone interested in fashion business and brand partnerships, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.